day I left the postpartum center, Leo Vance was eager to drive me straight to the civil affairs office. The moment the clerk handed us our divorce certificate, I saw a look of pure happiness on his face, a look I hadn't seen in a very long time. He looked down at me. I still need to go home later to pack my things and move out. Okay, no problem, I replied, my voice gentle and calm. Leo gave me a strange look. You seem different from before. What's different? I asked, turning to face him with a smile. I thought you would make a big scene, he admitted, or cling to me and beg me not to leave, or use the baby to try and make me stay. I just smiled at him. You should hurry home and pack. Isla Croft is probably arriving on the evening flight, right? You don't want to waste any time. By the time I arrived back at the house, it was already evening. The baby was sleeping peacefully in her crib, watched over by the nanny. Leo stood over the crib, gazing at our daughter, lost in thought. Have you decided on a name for her yet? He asked. I looked at his hypocritical expression and found it almost funny. His mind was clearly already at the airport, but here he was, putting on the act of a devoted father. Aurora Reed, I said calmly. It means single-mindedly devoted. Leo frowned slightly. Aurora Reed? But she's a Vance. She's from the Vance family. I smiled at him. The Vance family. The divorce agreement we just signed clearly states that the child belongs to me. I paused for a moment. But you will always be her father. When she's older, if you want to see her, I won't stop you. He sighed, and for the first time, a hint of guilt appeared on his face. Thank you, Clara Reed. I won't shortchange you on child support in the future. No need, I said firmly. I can afford to raise her. You should focus on finding your own happiness. Leo glanced down at his phone, his attention already elsewhere. All right then, goodbye. Okay, goodbye. I waved as he walked out, and I slowly closed the door behind him. It was a relief to finally have him gone. The first thing I did was block his number and all his social media accounts. Then I quickly listed all 3 of my houses for sale online, each priced about 5% below the market value. It didn't take long for all 3 to find buyers. I used the money from 2 of the sales to buy a nice apartment in a good school district outright. The rest of the money I put in the bank to earn interest, making sure I had enough cash flow for the right opportunity to rebuild my career. Life settled into a new routine until, about 6 months later, an unfamiliar number called my phone. Is this Clara? I'm Isla. Why would Isla Croft be calling me? I took a slow breath. Yes, this is she. What can I do for you? Her voice sounded anxious. Leo, he's been in a car accident. My blood type doesn't match his. Can you come and donate blood for him? I almost laughed. Was she serious? Leo and I had been divorced for nearly half a year. I'd heard he married Isla the day after our divorce was finalized. Now, when he needed a blood transfusion, she remembered me? Did she think I was some kind of doormat? I'm sorry, Miss Croft, but I have nothing to do with Leo anymore. You have the wrong person. The voice on the other end of the line choked up. But I just got back to the country and I don't know anyone else. You're the only one I know. Please help save him. Just returned to the country. Only knows me? Her excuses were flimsy. Miss Croft, since you've been abroad for so long, you might not be aware of our country's medical resources. As far as I know, Leo doesn't have a rare blood type. The blood bank has plenty in stock. You should be talking to the doctors right now, not me. With that, I hung up the phone. I had met Leo on a blind date when I was 26. My family was starting to pressure me to get married, and Leo was the most promising of all my potential matches. He was gentle and refined, with a master's degree from a good university, and he always carried himself like a gentleman. I asked him once, "How many relationships have you been in before?" He looked down, almost shyly, and smiled. To be honest, this is my first time. His first time. He looked at my surprised face and asked, "Is that really so hard to believe?" After that, he pursued me relentlessly. He hadn't lied exactly. He just never told me that there had always been someone else, a secret love, a white moonlight in his heart. After we got married, Leo and I started a film production company from the ground up. In recent years, several of the young artists we signed had started to become successful. When we were registering the company, I asked him what we should name it. He answered almost immediately. Let's call it Leoline Studios. It wasn't until 3 years into our marriage that I finally learned the real story behind the company's name. One night, he came home completely drunk. The driver had to help him upstairs. In the 3 years we'd been together, I had never seen him so intoxicated. He kept murmuring a name over and over. Isla, Isla, I miss you so much, Isla. Isla, who was she? I stayed up all night, my mind racing through all the possibilities, preparing myself for the worst. He kept getting sick, and I stayed by his side, taking care of him. The next morning, he woke up to find me slumped by the bed. He gently touched my face, his expression pained. You must be exhausted, my dear. I managed a weak smile. Last night, I heard you calling out Isla's name. Who is she? He didn't expect me to be so direct. He sat up suddenly and was silent for a long time before he finally spoke. My relationship with Isla isn't what you think. Then what kind of relationship is it? I pressed. He lit a cigarette. Isla and I grew up together. She went abroad a few years ago, but don't worry, there was never anything between us. Disappointment washed over me. I looked at the man who had shared my bed for 3 years, and I felt like I didn't even know him. I sneered. So, all those business trips to England over the years, you were actually going to see her? He lowered his head, saying nothing. From that day on, we became like strangers living under the same roof. But fate has a strange sense of humor. 2 months later, during a routine checkup, I found out I was pregnant. For the sake of the child, I thought about giving him another chance. I didn't want our baby to grow up without a father. When the baby was about 4 or 5 months along, I showed him the prenatal checkup results. He was overjoyed. This is wonderful. Why didn't you tell me sooner? Do you care? I asked him. Of course, he said, lifting me up happily. You and the baby are the most important people in the world to me. Looking at him then, I thought that maybe, even if he wasn't a good husband, he could still be a decent father. But the greater the hope, the greater the disappointment. As my due date approached, Leo spent a lot of money to get me into the best private hospital. I spent my days lying in bed, but he rarely came to visit. He always had the same excuse. With you gone, I have to handle everything at the company. I'm just too busy. I'll visit when I have time. On the day of the delivery, I had a difficult labor that lasted for over 10 hours. Leo never showed up. After I gave birth, I lay weakly in the hospital bed. Leo's assistant was by my side. Congratulations, sis. It wasn't easy. I smiled at her. Where's Mr. Vance? She looked awkward and scratched her head. Mr. Vance said an important client was arriving today, so he went to the airport to pick them up. He said he'll come see you as soon as he's done. I knew every important client of the company. I looked at her and asked, what important client is more important than his wife giving birth? The assistant stammered. He didn't specify the details. You've just given birth and you're still weak. You should get some rest. She was just a young girl, fresh out of college, and I didn't want to make things difficult for her. All right, I said. It wasn't until the 3rd day after giving birth that I finally saw Leo in person. He brought a huge bouquet of flowers. You've worked so hard, dear, he said, bending down to kiss my forehead. Then he looked at our daughter beside me. My daughter looks just like me. Looking at him, I only felt disgust. The emotions that had been building up for so long finally erupted. My tears started to fall, pattering onto the quilt, which seemed to startle him. Between sobs, I said, Leo, where have you been? I was in labor for over 10 hours. I almost died on the operating table. You always said that the baby and I were the most important people to you, so why couldn't you be by my side? By then, I was choking on my own tears, but I made myself cry even louder. I was determined to put on this show for him. Only by making him feel incredibly guilty could I get what I wanted. Already weak from childbirth, my crying made my face turn pale. Leo, I can't stop you from having someone else in your heart. If you think I'm in the way, I can stop being Mrs. Vance. But couldn't you, when I need you the most, share just a little of your love with me and our child? Even just a tiny bit? He frowned, his expression grave. I'm sorry, Clara. I've wronged you. I turned my head to wipe away my tears, then forced a faint smile. Don't say you're sorry. You're my husband, the father of my child, and the one I love most. The words felt nauseating to say, but they were effective. From that day on, he started visiting me and our child frequently, acting like a good father. Except every time he came, I would cry. I cried about how hard things had been for me, about everything I had endured to support him while he built his career, and about how much I loved him. I knew his personality well. He would soon grow tired of my constant crying, and then he would start to miss his white moonlight even more. It was only when he was the one to bring up divorce that I could ensure things went my way. My words would seem like emotional manipulation to him, making him feel even more guilty when he asked for the divorce, and thus, he would offer me more compensation. What he didn't know was that I was aware of every single meeting he had with his precious Isla. Ever since I learned of her existence, I had hired a private investigator. I knew every time her flight landed. Finally, after I had cried for 40 consecutive days, he snapped. "Clara, aren't you tired of this?" he growled at me. "The same words every single day. I'm sick of hearing them. I never realized how difficult you could be. Look around this hospital. Is there anyone else as unreasonable as you? You're acting like a complete shrew." "Me unreasonable? A shrew?" I asked quietly, suppressing the rage in my heart. "What do you want?" He was silent for a long time before he finally said, "Let's get a divorce. I'll bring the papers tomorrow." With that, he turned and stormed out of the room. He had no idea that I had already made up my mind to divorce him long ago, because I knew he didn't have much longer to live. Pulling my thoughts back to the present, I wondered what Isla's real intention was in calling me. The hospital could handle a blood transfusion? Why call me? It had been over half a year since the divorce, and we had stayed out of each other's lives. Why would she think of me now? I put on some nice makeup, did my hair, and then dialed Leo's assistant's number. "I heard Mr. Vance was in a car accident. Is it serious? Which hospital is he in?" The assistant seemed surprised by my concerned tone. She paused for a moment. "He's at Third Hospital. Are you planning to go there?" "Miss Croft called me to donate blood. I figured I might as well do a good deed. After all, we were married once. There must be some affection still remaining." The person on the other end of the line seemed to relax. "All right, sis. He's in room 302. Would you like me to tell him you're coming?" "No need," I said, and hung up. I was curious to see what kind of trick Isla was trying to pull. When I entered Ward 302, only Leo was there, lying quietly on the bed. His head was wrapped in bandages, but I couldn't see any other injuries. He was staring out the window and didn't notice me come in. I gently knocked on the door from the inside. He turned his head slowly and his eyes widened when he saw me. "Clara, what are you doing here?" I smiled gently at him. "Miss Croft called me. She said you were in a car accident and needed a blood transfusion, so I came to check on you." A glimmer of light flashed in his desolate eyes, but it vanished just as quickly. "Thanks for your concern. I'm fine." "Where is Miss Croft?" "She must have gone to pay the fees." "Oh, well, since you're fine, I'll be going." I turned to leave. "Where did you move to? I couldn't find you anywhere." His voice came from behind me. I turned my head and smiled at him. "What do you need me for?" His eyes darted away, avoiding my gaze. I want to see the child." Back then, letting him see the child was just a way to make him feel guilty and push him to divorce me. Now he wanted to see her? I didn't answer him. I just walked out of the ward without looking back. Outside the ward, Isla was already standing by the door. I had no idea how long she'd been there. This was the first time I had seen her in person. She was even more charming than in the photos. Her delicate features looked a lot like mine. Or rather, in Leo's eyes, it must have been me who resembled her. I had no desire to talk to her and was about to walk away, but she called out to me softly from behind. "Clara, is it really you?" Looking at her delicate and unassuming appearance, I suddenly understood why Leo had never been able to forget her. When I didn't respond, she continued, "I really didn't expect you to come." "Thank you, Clara. I'm new to the city and don't know anyone. I was so flustered earlier that I called you. I hope I didn't disturb you. I couldn't be bothered to play along with her act. I'm glad you're okay. I'll be going now. But she suddenly dashed in front of me, blocking my way. Sis, there's actually something I wanted to talk to you about. Can you spare a few minutes? I knew it. I knew she had a reason for calling me here. What is it? I said, forcing a smile. Well, she began, when Leo divorced you, didn't he give you all the family assets? His company is going through some difficulties now, and you know Leo would never lower himself to ask you, but could you help him out? For the sake of Leo Line, which was your shared effort. I looked at her expression and found it amusing. So, she was after my money, and it seemed she wanted all of it. Indeed, Leo had left all the family assets to me, only keeping the company. In his eyes, the company was the golden goose, far more valuable than the houses and savings. We had always had a clear division of labor at the company. He handled content and promotion, while I managed the artists and the finances. He didn't realize that keeping the company afloat required a huge amount of cash flow. Without that liquid capital, the company was like a river without a source, doomed to dry up. With the company in trouble, he naturally couldn't afford Isla's lavish lifestyle. Looking at the meek woman in front of me, I responded in an equally pitiful tone. You still remember that the company was built by me and Leo together? I've already left the company to you. What more do you want from me? Isla saw my aggrieved expression and lowered her voice even more. Clara, Leo already gave you the house, the cars, and savings of 20 to 30 million. We're not asking for much, just 10 million for us, and you can keep the rest to live on with the child. I looked at her, amazed that she could say such things with a straight face. I sighed. Miss Croft, back when the company was planning to go public, the valuation was 2 to 300 million. What I received is nothing compared to the company's worth, isn't it? I paused. I know you studied musical theater abroad. Leo once told me the company was founded to fulfill your acting dreams. That's why I didn't want to compete with him and willingly handed over the company I'd worked so hard to build for 4 years. From what you're saying, has something gone wrong with the company? Isla spoke slowly. You know, running a company requires money. Even if it's just for the sake of Leo being your child's father, you should help him out. As she spoke, she pulled a piece of paper from her pocket. Here's the account number. Just transfer the money to this card. She really had it all figured out, even the account number. Whether that money was for the company or for her own pocket, she knew better than I did. I looked at her and sighed dramatically. Oh, I really want to help you, but unfortunately, all my funds are tied up in trusts. I don't have any cash on hand right now. Then I turned to her with an apologetic expression. I have about 30 to 50,000 on hand. If you need it, I can lend it to you for emergencies, and there's no rush to pay it back. Her eyes widened. Sis, how could that be? You must be joking. I looked at her gently. It's really not that I don't want to help, but I'm truly powerless. You see, when you asked me to donate blood, I came right away. If I could help, wouldn't I? Seeing that I wasn't budging, her expression suddenly changed. Her face turned cold. Clara, stop acting. If you don't want to give it, just say so. Don't put on this fake act. She couldn't hold her composure for long. I lowered my head and took a business card from my bag. This is a financing institution that invested in Leo Line when the company was first established. You can try talking to them. Her eyes flickered as she took the card. You're really willing to help us? Of course, you don't hate me. Everyone has the right to pursue their own happiness, I said. Leo loves you. Letting go is the best thing for all three of us, don't you think? After a pause, I added, I noticed Leo doesn't look well. It would be best to arrange a full physical examination for him, a thorough health checkup. After saying that, I turned and walked out of the hospital. I tossed the bank card number she had given me into a trash bin outside, then took out the alcohol wipes I always carried and cleaned my hands. She asked if I hated her. How ridiculous. Why would I bother hating her? Her precious Leo was a dying man. As my daughter grew day by day with the help of my mother and the nanny, I finally had time to rebuild my career. During this time, some of the artists I used to manage would occasionally complain to me in our private chat group. Sis, Leo Line is completely ruined now. That new woman, Isla, I heard she studied musical theater. She has no management skills at all, but the boss listens to everything she says. The company's project funding is extremely tight. We have to beg for approval just to get on a variety show. There was a company interested in investing, but after a few talks with Isla, the deal fell through for some reason. Yeah, if this continues, we'll all be finished. I've already lost 2 endorsement deals. Doing the math, I realized their 5-year contracts with the company were about to end. I replied, half joking, "What if I start a new agency and take you all with me? How about it? Are you in?" "I'm in! Absolutely in, sis. I've been waiting for this day for so long." I lowered my head and smiled. These kids were at a crucial stage in their careers, and staying at Leo Line would only hold them back. I named my new company Phoenix Arts. News that several artists were terminating their contracts with Leo Line upon expiration quickly trended on social media when they all posted farewell messages at the same time. I was in my new office reviewing artist management contracts when my phone suddenly rang. It was an unfamiliar number, but I knew exactly who it was. I let it ring twice, but on the third ring, I answered. It was Isla's voice. "Clara, do you have to be so ruthless? Not only did you refuse to help me and Leo, but you also tried to poach our team." I confronted her calmly. "What do you mean?" "Stop playing dumb, Clara. That so-called investment company you introduced me to, I think it was just a plant you hired, right? They immediately asked for company shares. Do you think I'm stupid?" She was fuming, spewing profanities. "Now you've gone and poached all our company's artists too. I never imagined you could stoop this low. I really don't know what Leo ever saw in you." I replied calmly, "Miss Croft, perhaps Leo never told you, but I personally signed each of those artists and poured a tremendous amount of effort into nurturing them. Besides, as you know, in this industry, careers are short. They don't have time to waste. From what I understand, Leo Line's current financial situation isn't exactly rosy." My words only made her more furious. "That's only because Leo gave you all his money in the divorce." I smiled. "That's because he was pursuing true love. Such a sincere, beautiful love that he chose to abandon his wife and child, giving up everything for it. He got exactly what he deserved. We have nothing to talk about." With that, I hung up. Counting the days, I wondered how Leo was doing. It seemed Isla hadn't taken my advice about the physical exam to heart. The next time I saw him was at a New Year's film and television project launch conference. Isla appeared at the venue on Leo's arm, her belly slightly rounded, clearly pregnant. After seeing me, Leo initially wanted to raise his hand to greet me, but Isla quickly pulled his arm back down. I looked at him. His physical condition was clearly not good. His face was pale, his lips had a bluish tint, and though he looked normal at first glance, he seemed like an empty scarecrow. During the conference's intermission, I stopped him at the refreshment area. "Have you had a medical checkup recently? You look exhausted." He seemed puzzled by my words. "Did you come over just to say that?" "Yeah, don't worry too much about company matters. Your health is more important." He looked at me. "I've just been too tired lately. You and the kid? Are you doing okay?" "Yeah, Before I could finish, Isla came up from behind and interrupted. "Oh, still hung up on old feelings?" "Isla, don't talk like that. I haven't been in contact with Clara for a long time." Looking at him then, I was reminded so much of the day he told me, "My relationship with Isla isn't what you think." I glanced at Isla's belly, then smiled at her. "You should spend more time caring about your own husband." She noticed me looking at her belly, lifted her head proudly, and said, "My child will definitely grow up in a happy environment, unlike some children who can only be born into single-parent families." She had barely finished speaking when Leo tugged at her skirt. "All right, that's enough." Looking at her, I couldn't help but feel a pang of pity. If she didn't start taking his condition seriously, her child might never even meet their father. Who was truly more pitiable? I stopped paying attention to them and returned to my seat. The truth was, the company health checkup from over half a year ago was one I had done together with Leo. The company arranged annual health checkups for all employees, and we were no exception. It was during that checkup that my pregnancy was detected. As for Leo, he was busy with a project, so I collected his health report for him. The medical report clearly stated that there was a large shadow in his lungs, suspected to be lung cancer, already at a mid-stage, requiring further examination and immediate treatment. His phone was turned off. Pregnant and anxious, I held the report and searched everywhere for him, but the private investigator told me he was with Isla. He even sent me a photo of them enjoying a candlelight dinner. In the photo, Leo was smiling brightly, a smile I had never seen in the 4 years we were together. I had ultimately been nothing more than a stand-in for the white moonlight in his heart. That evening, I placed his medical report along with the company's annual report in his study and texted him. The medical report and annual report are on your desk. But he never touched that pile of documents, not even when he moved out. His heart and mind were only with his Isla. Counting the days, I knew that if he didn't seek treatment soon, he might not survive the winter. Time flew by, and Phoenix Arts quickly got back on track under my management. I thought there would be no further connection between me, Isla, and Leo. Until Isla appeared at the door of my office. She looked haggard but was still dressed elegantly in a loose Chanel suit. The moment she saw me, she burst into tears. "Clara! Leo is dying! My child is about to lose their father!" She sobbed and choked, collapsing to the ground. She was a musical theater major, but you would have thought she studied drama. I slowly helped her up and onto the sofa. "What brings you here today?" She looked at me with sincere eyes. "Sister Clara, the doctor said Leo might not have much time left, just a few months. I was thinking of taking him to Switzerland for recuperation. He loves the scenery there, so he can spend his remaining days happily." She paused. "After that, Leoline might be beyond our care. I was thinking, since it's the shared effort of both of you, I'd like to entrust it to you." Entrust it to me? What was this new act? I watched her, tears streaming down her face, and felt a brief moment of compassion. "Entrust it to me? Aren't you planning to come back from Switzerland?" "I won't be coming back." "What do you mean?" She slowly pulled out a few stapled A4 sheets from her bag. "Sister Clara, your new company is thriving. Why not take over Leoline and run it together? I had the finance team draft a contract. I can transfer the company to you at cost price. I just need some living expenses for Switzerland." I instantly snapped out of my momentary pity. This was an attempt to offload a toxic asset onto me for cash. Did she take me for a fool? However, in business, you never turn away a potential deal if the price is right. I took the contract from her and casually flipped through it. 50 million. I double-checked the number. Yes, 50 million. Given the company's current resources and reputation, I would have to think twice even if it were 5 million. And she was quoting me 50? 50 million is a bit much, I said, flashing her a polite smile. Seeing a potential opening, she leaned in closer. "Sister Clara, as you said, some companies valued the company at 2 or 300 million before. 50 million isn't much for you, and acquiring Leoline wouldn't be a loss." No loss. The company didn't have a single well-known artist left. I'd heard they were defaulting on project payments. Why would I spend 50 million to buy a pile of debt? Her little tricks might have worked on Leo, but not on me. I slowly rose from the couch. "Miss Croft, I'm sorry, but I can't help you with this." She pursed her lips. "If 50 million is too much, we can discuss it. How about 40 million? I didn't have time to argue. Not just 40 million. I wouldn't take it for 4 million. Her eyes widened. "Do you really want to watch the company you built from the ground up be destroyed?" "The company, hasn't it already been given to you?" After saying this, I smiled at her. "Miss Croft, please leave now, or I'll call security." She became visibly agitated. "Clara, you shameless woman. Why is it so hard to get you to cough up even a little money? You're obsessed with it." She continued cursing. "You're so cunning, dumping this huge mess of a company on Leo and walking away with the money without a care." "Me walking away with the money? When we divided the assets, Leo handled it all. I don't believe you were unaware of that decision." Was it your idea for him to take the company during the divorce? I said coldly, staring at her. She raised her voice. So what if it was my idea? Blame Leo for being too stupid to even know the company's worth. If he hadn't told me the company was worth 500 million, would I have wanted this lousy company? She was so angry she didn't notice that the stupid Leo she was talking about had quietly appeared behind her. He looked haggard, standing silently behind her, staring at her with a vacant gaze. I snorted coldly. Aren't you two true love? True love? What kind of bullshit is true love? She trembled with rage. If it weren't for that idiot constantly telling me how much money that lousy company could make, would I have even looked at him? Would I have come all the way back from the UK? He's just a social climber. She staggered as she spoke, nearly falling, and Leo caught her from behind. She turned slowly. Leo, what are you doing here? How long have you been here? He replied in a hoarse voice. Quite a while. After a long pause, he finally spoke again. Let's go. Don't embarrass yourself here anymore. From then on, I never saw Isla or Leo again. His last contact with me was a phone call. He used the company landline, a number I knew well. I answered. Hello. There was only silence on the other end. I was about to hang up when a voice I hadn't heard in a long time came through the phone. Clara, it's me? I know. He fell silent again for a long time. I'm sorry. What's there to be sorry about? I replied. The past is long behind me. I've always been someone who can move on. He sighed. Isla had an abortion and went back to England. She won't bother you anymore. Oh, I said, pausing before continuing. What exactly did you call to tell me today? His voice was soft, but his tone was heavy, as if he had just been crying. Clara, I just wanted to say I'm sorry. Once I had the chance to be a good husband, a good father, doing work I was good at and loved. I could have been so happy, but I was ungrateful. I was led astray, and I ended up like this. I regret it. When I remained silent, he continued, Clara, I'm dying. I don't know if you believe it, but during my chemotherapy, your image has been appearing in my mind every day. You working overtime with me, you taking care of me all night when I was sick. I impatiently interrupted him. What's the point of saying all this now? He spoke cautiously. Clara, can I see you and the child one last time before I die? I miss you both so much. As he spoke, he began to cry softly. There's no need for that. If there's nothing else, I'll hang up now. I have another meeting soon. With that, I ended the call. My heart felt as if it were being gripped by something, aching terribly. We once had a beautiful past, but I could not tolerate being just a substitute for someone else in the heart of the person I loved. So, I chose not to love anymore. I returned him to his white moonlight. After his death, he left me a letter, along with the remaining $5 million he got from selling off what was left of Leo Line Studios. I didn't open the letter. I donated the $5 million to a charity, establishing a public welfare fund in his name. I thought that was the greatest dignity I could preserve for him.
Well, I don't know why I really... Skunk. I don't know why I did that. I said a pun. Yeah, Sly, I did. Watch Mojo. What's that? I don't pee on the seat. I just aim for the floor. Skunk, thank you so much. Get out of here, yell so-and-so. Oh, a YouTube channel? Okay, great. I even held the flashlight for the sibling who did the thing. I'm literally so fucking good at cards. You're like amazing. I mean, what? Someone did say watch Mojo. Yeah. They did. Shh. I've had enough of that. Quite enough of you. All day. Top 10 wah-wahs in movies. I need to know more about this. For real, women's bathroom habits in my Walmart have me losing faith in humanity. People don't care about things they're not. That's bad. Yeah, that sucks. That's just disrespectful. And there's just no reason for that. There's literally no reason to be disrespectful to someone just because your shitty actions will not continue to affect you after you leave. That just sucks. It just means you're a bad person. Don't be a bad person. Don't be bad people. People. You would think it would go without saying, but by golly, this is 2026. That's right, Nikki. That's exactly right. Yeah. Oh, Elliot Smith. Hot takes on this channel, I know. Yeah, it's kind of crazy stuff. I'm saying some pretty ludicrous, kind of out there things, but you know, I hope you guys stick around. Really hot takes. The 1800s are calling for you back. Witch! Witch! I'm not a witch, I'm your wife. But after what I just heard, I'm not sure I even want to be dead anymore. Or something to that effect. Sent out 2 monthly letters with 2025 dates. I'm sorry, this is how you found out, dear. Yeah, it's 2026. So sorry to be the one to break it to you.